Welcome to the David and Hillary Show, episode 43.
43.
Yeah,
Our podcast is getting kind of old.
it
It's
is,
growing
isn't it?
up. It's growing up.
I mean, it's middle aged
Yeah,
in episode numbers.
that's right.
Well, last episode was part one of our sharing with you about our recent trip to the Smokies. We had some great pictures, videos, and stories from that, and we're going to continue with more of the same, except different. Different pictures, different.
It's going to be great.
It is. It's going to be great.
All right, let's do this.
Well, last episode, when we talked about our trip to the Smokies, we finished with our visit to the Mountain Farm Museum
Oh, yes.
at the Okanalefty, I can't remember saying that right, Visitor Center.
I love that name, and I love a good farmhouse.
Yeah.
I loved it all.
She did. She loved it all. So that was on the North Carolina side of the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And we had a good time there. We had decided when we were done with that we were going to go to Soco Falls. Soco Falls is a little bit further west into North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit more about how we picked that later in this episode. But there are a couple of ways to get there. We decided we would use the Blue Ridge Parkway because we'd been on it before several years ago, and it's very scenic.
Right. We've seen it. We know it's beautiful, but it's always different. Like the weather makes it different. Like whether they've had rain or not, like everything is always changing. So it is like you're seeing it kind of new.
Well, we like to go to new places, but it's fun to, go to some place that you already know is probably not going to disappoint.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took a picture of the sign when we entered the Blue Ridge Parkway. And so I kind of like that it's growing a little bit of algae on it, and it's kind of weathered. It probably needs a paint job.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that. So what was cool was we get on the Blue Ridge Parkway, and right away, well, we had beautiful scenery driving on Highway 441 through the Smokies. At this point, we're kind of still in the Blue Ridge Mountains, but we're out of the park.
Right.
But I mean, it was just more beautiful stuff. So here's a video. Once we got on the Blue Ridge Parkway, it was so pretty. I just said, Hillary, just take my phone and video this right out the front window. I mean, look at those colors. It was just amazing. And when we had decided to go on this trip from home, you go, well, I mean, is the park at peak or not? And beyond the park, whatever we do in that area, because honestly, around Franklin, Tennessee, we were not seeing those kind of colors at that time.
No.
Here we're coming up on a tunnel, and I just love even just going into the tunnel.
The trees growing on top of the tunnel. It's beautiful.
Well, do you remember the conversation we had going through this tunnel?
Was it about the honking?
Yeah, why do people honk?
I don't know. Did you look it up?
Well, we'll get back to that in a second. But look, now we go through the tunnel, and now there's fog.
Yeah.
It wasn't foggy before we went in.
Well, because before we went in, it wasn't Narnia.
Right.
And then when we went through the tunnel, it was Narnia.
It was like a portal tunnel.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was.
There's some pretty good
Beautiful.
fog here, but you can still see the colors, and you can see there's blue sky up ahead, and then just as quickly as it got foggy, it gets unfoggy.
Yeah.
So man, we're back to clear sailing. Well, I always thought that people honk in tunnels because it kind of echoes, and the people that I was with that did that or would yell at me as a driver. Like when I was a youth pastor, our kids would be like, honk again, honk.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think it becomes a tradition at some point, but also they just love that it echoes, and I don't know.
Well, I feel like especially like you're saying on those youth trips, I think somebody also was like, and pick up your feet. I'm like, what? How many rules do we? Bridges? I don't see. I don't know. I don't know my rules.
I mean, with all respect to young people, I'm not trying to figure out all their stuff.
I mean, I'm just gonna do the driving rules. I'm just stay on the road.
Stay on
watch
the
the road.
Stay between the trees and the ditches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as you could see, it was really beautiful, and we out. This is kind of like in our last episode we talked about how there was just so much cool stuff. You want to stop at everything, and we didn't stop at everything, but we
Mm. We stopped at a lot of
we
things.
stopped at a lot of
A lot of
things.
things.
We
Yeah.
drove past a lot of things I would have stopped at
Yeah.
if I
We
were
didn't stop at every tree,
right.
but every other.
Okay, stop fighting about that. But here we did stop at an overlook, and it was cool.
Is
It was
very
cool
cool.
because we still got smoke. We still got Smoky Mountain smoke, and
I love to tease you, but honestly, everything we stopped at was gorgeous. And
well, and
and
a lot of things we drove past were gorgeous too.
I totally agree. But
Yeah.
I just kept thinking we're not gonna make it. We're gonna see half the things on the road and have to turn around and go back.
Well,
But
and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Just try, you know, our advice, I guess, when you're on a sightseeing kind of trip like that is it's always good, I think, to do a little bit of research before you go and try and get a rough idea of where you're
mm-hmm.
going. You know, there's a lot of different personalities, and if you try to make an exact schedule and spend precise amounts of time, I mean, maybe that works for those people, but that would drive me nuts because you go one place you think is going to be awesome and it's not as great as you thought, and you're like, okay, we allotted an hour here. It's been 10 minutes. I'm ready to go.
Right, we're done.
And then you go somewhere else. You allotted an hour and you want to spend three because it's just blows your mind how amazing it is, and
Mm-hmm.
you didn't see that coming. So so we're trying not to stop at everything because we wouldn't make it to the waterfall that we had planned to make it to. But but you see all this crazy stuff. One of my goals before we left was to get kind of a grand vista shot with beautiful fall colors and possibly some Smoky Mountain smoke
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
if we could get it. So so we didn't stop everywhere. This one was okay. It wasn't quite what I was looking for, so we kept driving. And then I kind of had to apologize. Like, okay, well, I think we're gonna stop again because I think I see, and you're like, okay,
I truly did not
you
care.
were good.
No, it was good.
You okay. You yeah. So
I think you're just nervous. You've got some PTSD, you know.
well, maybe.
When you've got a car full of kids that are trying to get somewhere, that's different than
Right.
if you've got two adults and one of them has snacks. I was totally fine.
Well,
That was great.
here was our first look when we pulled over at the next overlook. When we looked left, we saw some really great color and some, these look really more like clouds than
Mm-hmm.
Smoky Mountain smoke, but it's a pretty view. And this was to looking to the left. This was at the Thomas Divide overlook,
Okay,
and I didn't have a picture of the sign for that, but I know that's where it was.
I believe you.
So then we looked over to the right and kind of between the trees and saw this amazing hill with all the color that I'd been hoping to find
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of smoke. So I thought this was pretty cool. Cool clouds up in the sky. But what I've learned with photography, you see something cool and you love it and you stop looking. But by moving just a few feet and continuing to look, I was able to frame this up, which you couldn't really see. I couldn't see until I moved
And look how
to
the
find that.
color's just everywhere now.
It's everywhere.
So beautiful.
And even I
Even
think
closer, it feels. Yeah.
yeah, and I think you can see more color in the further back hills in this shot as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that it's horizontal. Some portrait oriented landscape shots, if that's a thing, can be really cool. And I think we had a couple cool ones in the last episode. But I just really like how this one turned out.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to check that box.
Yeah.
I want a vista with great color and Smoky Mountain smoke, and so that was a win.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we kept driving, and there was another overlook where a lot of people had pulled over, and I thought we were going to get some really great pictures. I'm going to show some pictures from here. Um, Here's a picture of you taking a picture of me
Yeah.
taking a picture,
This is my hobby. I take really good pictures of you taking pictures.
and you're good at it.
Yeah,
And you're
thanks.
good at it. It's me just making a goofy pose. I'm not actually posing, but and then there were some guys there that we didn't know that were talkative and were really nice, and
Yeah.
I think you took a picture for them, and they took this picture of us, and it's not the best picture ever,
Yeah, but
but
people always felt obligated. They would see me taking pictures of you like, "Oh, can we take a picture of you guys?" I'm like, "Oh, well, I mean, like, yeah, sure.
yeah,
Sure. We're not here for that, but yeah,
right,
that'd be great. But we do it to make them happy."
yeah.
So,
Let's spread cheer
that's
wherever we
right.
can,
That's right.
or don't stop other people from spreading cheer.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. So here are a couple of pictures that I got. Oh, here's the one that actually tells where we are. So it's kind of fun to document that. And there was some pretty color there. It was a different kind of fall color. Here's one of the ones that I took, and if I hadn't gotten the previous Vista
Mm-hmm.
view, I would have been really disappointed with this one. But I have to admit, this one, I look at this and I think, okay, people who design clothing and fall decorations and things, like they're seeing that
Right.
and they're going, oh, here's my palette. Here's my
Mm-hmm. More
palette for fall.
muted. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, where's my bright orange and my bright red?
Yeah,
But this with more of the browns and stuff is beautiful in a different way
it is.
and more of a subtle, maybe more of a grown up way,
That's right.
which I'm still not grown up.
We're
So
not grown-ups yet.
that's why I
Our
like
podcast
the
is
brighter
almost grown up, but not us.
podcast is middle aged.
That's
Okay.
right.
And then this next one is different view with more smoke, but some more of kind of those fall browns mixed with some orange and some green and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a cool overview and a cool look.
Yeah. Beautiful.
So we had stopped a few times and we decided, this was talking about earlier, we had wanted to go to Soco Falls, SOCO. It's a place a little further into North Carolina, a little further west. And we knew we were going to have to drive a little bit to get there. And so I just kind of made like resolution, I'm not going to stop. We're just going to get to the falls because otherwise we're not going to get to do everything that
Right.
we want to do. I'm not trying to drive back at 11 o'clock at night or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At some point it quits being fun when you're my age and you've kind of overdone it. So anyway, so we drove through the Blue Ridge Parkway, more amazing views, and we finally get to Soco Falls, which is you kind of um, the trail takes you down, as with a lot of waterfalls. You start high and go down low to get to the waterfalls.
Mm-hmm.
And um, Soco Falls is actually kind of a double falls. There are two creeks that come together and fall kind of together to make the falls.
Do you remember we almost missed the turnoff?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, I was in charge of the map, and I'm just gonna say for the record, sometimes Google Maps is working against me and my marriage, and I hold her personally responsible for this. But I was trying really hard to follow the directions, but I kept telling you, I'm not sure where to go. It seems like there's two pins, like two places that say there's
Right.
Soco Falls, and I don't know why I thought we were gonna go to that furthest one, but that's kind of where I had my heart set. Was like, okay, we're going all the way to the furthest one. Well, I was actually on the phone at that point, and you just happened to see the turnoff that had the big sign, and so
Yeah.
I don't remember if we had to kind of pull back around or
I missed it by just a little bit, but
yeah,
thankfully there was another driveway there, and I turned around and came back, and I wasn't even sure if it was the right place or not. But I was like, well,
right,
we're getting close, and this is kind of a confusing sign. It all could have been marked a little bit better.
right. And that other pin on the map, yeah, that was like where the actual fall was that you cannot walk to or
You
get
can't
to.
park.
You can't park there.
Sometimes you can park within view of the falls, but in this case, that wasn't what was happening.
Yeah, we were never going to get there.
The road went to the trailhead,
Right.
and there's a parking lot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it went down and did a hairpin turn and came back by where the falls were, but you can't even see the falls from the road
Right.
over there.
Right.
So that they had a pin at the trailhead and a pin at the actual falls, but you had to really zoom in and study it because it was just.
It was a little crazy. And neither one of them said trailhead. They just both said Soco Falls.
But that's a tip. Always look for the trailhead if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to find, because usually you can't get right up next to what you're looking for.
That's right.
Sometimes you can, but even then there should be a sign for parking or trailhead on the map if it's well done.
And if Google Maps is not working actively against your marriage.
Yeah, and
So
is that like Wikipedia where people just go in and change it? I mean, who decides where the pins
I
go?
don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, that was frustrating to a point, but parking lot, nice parking lot
It was great.
with bathrooms, so that's good. Well, as we took the trail down to the falls, we were walking alongside one of those creeks. I told you there's two creeks that make the double falls,
Mm-hmm.
and we were walking alongside one of them. And here's a cell phone shot of that creek. It's pretty, and it's just kind of like, a regular creek in the woods, but that's what we were walking alongside. And then at one point there was a bridge that crossed it, and I thought that was really picturesque. But I just didn't take the time to get my good camera out. But that's fun to kind of just show you the path down. Sometimes the path to where you're going is beautiful and amazing, and sometimes it's really plain until you
Mm-hmm.
get there, and then it's like, oh, wow, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So let's talk for a minute about why did we want to go to Soco Falls.
Okay, let's do it. Why did we want to go to Soco Falls?
Well,
I just get in the car wherever you tell me to go.
yeah, to be fair, I did more of the planning.
I had snacks.
Well, we love waterfalls, and I think
We
originally
do.
I love waterfalls, but now you love them too.
I do.
And so this was one that was close enough to get to from Gatlinburg and from kind of our base camp, so to speak, the base camp that was indoors with a shower and a bed. But there was one that we'd never been to.
Right.
And when I looked it up online, the pictures made it look like it would be worth the effort. Like this is
Mm-hmm.
something that you're going to want to make the effort to drive to hike to. And the hike wasn't too bad. The elevation change was quite a bit. It
Yes.
wasn't super far,
And there were
but
stairs.
there were
Like,
there were
it
stairs.
wasn't it wasn't
It
crazy
wasn't really
wild.
dangerous
Mm-mm.
unless you're not in shape and you shouldn't be doing
Right.
all those stairs or whatever. But it was fine.
And people take their time. Like if you can't do the stairs very fast, you just step aside and
There's room
hang out
to
for a
step
minute.
aside and have
Yeah.
somebody go
A
past
lot
you.
of people do that.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I thought was really cool as I was reading about it online was it said, well, there's a viewing area to view the falls from up high, but you can also get down to the bottom of the
Mm-hmm.
falls. And as a photographer, I'm always trying to get multiple angles of a lot of things. Like I just said, when I stopped and took the Vista view and then one way, and then I went over like 15 feet and got a completely different view. Same with waterfalls. So if the viewing area is up high, that's fine. But sometimes the best views are from the bottom. So I
Mm-hmm.
was excited that it says that it's difficult, but there are ropes there that you can use.
Right.
And I was like, well, I got all my gear in my backpack, even my tripod like straps to my backpack, and I can do that. And I'm excited.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Well, we have a history of doing that. We can do that at Fall Creek Falls.
Yep.
We've done that at I think Burgess Falls long ago. Was it Cummins Falls? Did we do that? I think both of those we've done at one point.
It's been a minute since we've been to those. I think Cummins you can still get to the bottom. Burgess, I
I
think
don't
is
think
the
you
one
can.
where the staircase was getting
Mm-hmm.
unsafe, and instead of redoing it, they just took it out.
Yeah.
So now to get to the bottom of Burgess Falls, you have to like go to a completely different place and get a kayak, and
Okay.
go upstream, and you can still get to the bottom, but it is not easy.
I'm so glad we got to do all of those because I think we
Yeah,
swam at all those places.
we did.
Yeah, at the base. Yeah, that's
We did.
fun. We
It
like
is.
it.
Yeah. So we were excited to go to Soco Falls, and when we got, as we're getting to the falls, we could hear it. We can kind of see that
Mm-hmm.
we're getting close. And I'm looking like, okay, well, let's just go ahead and go to the viewing platform, and then let's figure out how we're going to get to the bottom. So we get out to the viewing platform. There are other people on it,
Yep.
and I'm kind of looking around. I'm looking at the falls. I'm trying not to get anybody else's way, and I'm looking for the way down. I can't find the way down.
Yeah.
As we were walking through the trail to get to the viewing platform, we kept seeing signs that say, I didn't take a picture of it. I don't have it memorized, but it basically said, "For your safety, stay on the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Rocks are slippery." And that was I wasn't expecting that because we've been to a lot of wild places. I think you mentioned in the last episode when we started doing this and our kids were younger, you were like, oh my gosh, people can die on some of these places.
Yeah.
And so uh, seeing a sign that says "Stay on the trail. Rocks are slippery for your safety."
Mm-hmm.
We saw probably 4 or 5 of those on the way down, and I was like, "Okay, so what's happening?" Well,
That's our first heads up.
yeah. So we finally figured out where the path to the bottom used to be. It's still there, but they kind of blocked it off.
Mm-hmm.
The viewing platform is basically just a wooden deck, and it's strong. Whoever built it
Yeah.
did a good job. It's strong, but wooden decks move. And this one, I think the support poles were so high that whenever someone would walk out onto the deck, the whole thing would do this every step. And when someone would get done looking and go back, it would do this. And I'm like, how am I going to get a long exposure shot of this waterfall if the dumb thing keeps moving? To make matters worse, this is nobody's fault, but you couldn't look straight on really to the falls. The falls were here, and the viewing platform was like here on the side. I'm drawing in front of your face. I'm sorry. So the platform was built in such a way that you would feel like the natural thing would be to look this way, but the falls were this way. And so there was no way really to set up a tripod and shoot without getting part of the railing, or even if you go all the way to the end of the platform and try to shoot over the edge, now there's trees in the way. It was not optimal,
Right. It was disappointing.
and that was frustrating. And then so we tried to find out after the fact why can nobody get to the bottom of Soco Falls anymore? That's just and well, yeah. You looked that up. What did you find?
Oh, I don't remember the specifics, but I think I just started like Googling tragedies at Soco Falls because there's a lot of those in state parks that really never get
They,
advertised.
yeah, right.
And I do think there was some kind of accident, some kind of tragedy, which I try not to focus on too much, but it
Well,
made me think
I don't want to focus on it too much either, but at the time you told me, oh,
there was
multiple people have died
yeah.
at Soco Falls. So I was like,
So
well, I'm not as surprised as I used to be, and I'm very careful, and I know how to walk on slippery. I mean, that's what we do. We were actually doing that today before we came and recorded this episode.
hmm
We were building a new pond and waterfall in someone's yard and climbing all over it like mountain goats. And that
hmm
doesn't mean that we can't get hurt or have an accident. I'm not saying that.
well, and those rocks weren't slippery today; they were dry.
They weren't, but a lot of times when we go to do maintenance on them and stuff,
That's true.
we do have to be really careful. So I just thought if there's ropes and stuff, but somebody had taken the ropes down. I
hmm
mean, I looked as much as I could look, and it was so. I guess the reason I'm spending so much time on this is sometimes when you try to go on an adventure, it doesn't turn out to be what you thought it was going to
Right.
be. And that's kind of what I mentioned earlier. You get there and you're like, how am I even? gonna enjoy this the way I had planned on enjoying it. So what I did, I got my tripod set up. I got all three legs extended out as far as possible to get the camera up as high as possible. Then I tipped it over.
Sorry.
No, I know you've been fighting with
I
that
know.
cough. Pray for Hillary, just cough to go away. So I tipped the legs over so that two legs rested against the railing, and then I took the third leg and kind of folded it down. Okay, so my tripod is like this, which is crazy.
Sorry, guys.
You gonna be okay?
If I disappear, it's because I'm getting a cough drop.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. Okay, well, unfortunately, Hillary is struggling with this cough. She's had it for quite a while. She did great to get through the first 25 minutes or so without having a coughing episode, and then she just couldn't get that one under control, and she said she's going to have to bow out for the rest of the episode, which I hate. But if you'll hang with me, I'm going to show you some pretty cool pictures, and I think it'll be worth finishing it out with me. So thank you in advance. This is the picture that I got of Soco Falls. And if you don't look at it too close, it, it's an okay picture and it gives you a good idea. This is one really long, beautiful waterfall and one shorter one there at the bottom on the left. And those are the two creeks coming together, and they just give it one name, Soco Falls. The next picture is where I zoomed in and tried to get, some detail just to focus on those, all the little individual multiple falls. I just think it's beautiful. It's really cool. If you really look close at either one of these pictures, you can see that the camera's not truly perfectly still. Of course, the water is got that silky look because of the long exposure. Part of that may have been the breeze, the branches were moving. Part of it is because I was not on a solid surface where I could just get a really great foundation to make sure that the camera wasn't moving. So anyway, it's kind of what we were talking about. Sometimes you parts of your adventure are not as great as you had hoped, and other parts are even better. So after Soco Falls, we decided that we were just going to go ahead and drive back to Gatlinburg. Not committing. Hillary's not here to discuss this with. I didn't 100% commit that I wouldn't stop no matter what, but I was really trying not to stop too much because I knew by the time we drove all the way back, it was going to be getting dark. And so we'd been having a great time. We'd seen a lot of beautiful views, and we continued to see those as we went. We actually, from Soco Falls, we got off of the Blue Ridge Parkway and kind of made a loop back around to Highway 441 to go back through the park, and just so that we could see some different stuff. We went through Cherokee, North Carolina, which we've been to before, which is a cool place if you want to see. There's history there of the Cherokee tribe. It's also kind of a touristy town. There's a lot of places where you can get souvenirs and stuff. So um, we didn't stop, but we headed back to Gatlinburg, and about two-thirds of the way back, we're on Highway 441 going through the park, and we're running at this point right along what they call Walker Camp Prong. Where they come up with these names, I don't know. It's a river, and they call it Walker Camp Prong. And so I'm watching. There was one other thing on my checklist that I was hoping to find, and we drove past it, and I almost missed the chance to pull off and park. In fact, I actually parked where it said no parking. There was a place to park, and then past that, they were trying to get people not to park in this other area, but I mean, that was my chance. So I pulled over and I parked. And I got all my gear out, and Hillary was really great. She was a trooper, and she helped me, and she helped hold the umbrella because it was raining. Not raining hard, but it's raining. And my gear is pretty good, but it's not, I can't be out in the rain for a long time and not suffer damage. So trying to keep everything dry. So we walk back a little ways, excuse me, and I want to get a shot of the Walker Camp prong, the river, because I saw some things along the river at this point that I thought made it, picturesque and made it a pretty cool thing to get a shot of. Well, as Hillary said, her hobby is taking pictures of me doing my hobby. So here's a picture of me set up in the middle of the river with the umbrella to keep the camera dry. I don't care if the tripod gets wet, but the camera's got to stay dry. And I'm trying to frame up the shot. I think I mentioned a little bit about this in the last episode. When you're doing water and you're trying to eliminate glare, I've got my circular polarizing filter, and I'm trying to make sure everything's in focus. There's a lot. It's a lot to set up the shot. And while I'm doing that, Hillary's also taking a video of where we are, so you can see why I wanted to stop. It's very beautiful, and you can see here the river rushing down, and there I am. I was able to climb out and just kind of rock hop out there and not get super wet. So that was fun. Another thing that I wanted to point out, if you've never been to the mountains when it rains, waterfalls just kind of pop up everywhere. Not everywhere, but all over the place. There are little temporary waterfalls because the rain falls, it hits the ground, it goes to the low spots, and then it runs and it becomes a little creek or stream, waterfall. And it's not there all the time, but when it rains, it's there and it's scenic. And so Hillary took this video of this little rain water creek slash waterfall that's emptying into the Walker Camp Prong River, and right there by where I'm taking a photo. I didn't actually get any shots of that little rainwater creek waterfall with my good camera. I was too busy trying to get the other shots. But it's just fun when you're going out someplace wild and with a lot of elevation change in the rain. You think, well, do I want to go out in the rain? Well, we've kind of proven on this trip there can be some really beautiful things in the rain. So that was just a fun little thing to see. So why did I go out to the middle of the river and set up? Um, it's because I thought I might get a shot like this. So I was looking for fall color along one of these rushing rivers. And I would have really loved it if there was fall color on both sides of the river. But, you take what you can get, you take what you can find. I'm sure there's some scenes like that in the Smokies. I didn't find one on this trip, but I found this scene. And again, as I've mentioned 2 or 3 times already in this episode, I like to try to get different angles and say, well, where's the best shot? Where, since there's no yellow and orange on the left side of the river, what can I do to get a little more color in the shot? And I zoomed back a little bit and panned to the right a little bit, and I got this shot, which has a little bit more of the tree in it, and it has a lot more of the leaves in the foreground, and it also shows the river running back to the right as well as to the left, which I think helps to kind of balance the shot out. So I was really excited to be able to find that scene and for Hillary to be patient with me and help me out and help keep my stuff dry so that I could get one more really cool shot in the Smokies on that day. I had originally thought that maybe we would get all of our really cool stuff into 2 episodes, but they're getting kind of long and we're still not through everything. So we're going to do one more episode on our Smokies trip, and you don't want to miss episode 3, part 3 of this, because there is, I mean, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm just going to give you a tease. We had one more bear encounter, and it was I'm trying to find the right adjective to describe it. Um, it was unusual and close up. So there's two. Close up's hyphenated, so I'm going to say that's two words. Unusual and close up. And you don't want to miss it. We are going to include that in our next episode, and that'll give you something to look forward to. So thank you for joining us. I'm sorry Hillary couldn't finish out the episode. Pray for her to get better with this cough. There's so much sickness going around right now. I had it a little. She ended up getting it worse, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll both be back healthy next time, and that'll be our episode right before Thanksgiving as well. So we'll probably talk about that a little bit, as well as showing you an unusual close-up encounter with nature that you don't want to miss. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. See ya.